You're listening to All Country News.
But I want to kick it off. Everybody is talking about New Year's resolutions and like what they want to do. And I think that's a load of crap. And so
Me too.
I have been doing what is in for 2025 and what is out for 2025. You have probably seen that all
Yeah.
over TikTok.
Oh
So I
yeah.
would love to know what your ins and outs are for 2025.
So I've thought about it quite a bit, and I think 25. I'm turning 30 this year,
Oh,
so
welcome to the club.
I know I
Woohoo!
did not want to get here, but here I am.
You know what? It's kind of great.
I heard your 30s are like your time to get your stuff done. You know what I mean?
You know what? It's been great. I am a Mima. I'm in bed by 8 reading a book, but it's great.
Hey, I'm in bed by 10. I mean, so that's not too
I'm
bad.
asleep by 10.
I wish I could. My brain just doesn't shut off. I probably
Yeah.
won't fall asleep till 2 in the morning.
Oh,
But
my goodness.
going back to the question, my outs, I'm trying to give up sugar. I have a sweet tooth and it's caught up to me. I can feel it. And so I'm trying to cut that out this year. Mixing that in with alcohol, that kind of works hand in hand. Um, I think I'm getting to that point where my days are done. You know what I mean? So that's what's out, and then what's in is just a healthy mindset and daily. This sounds so weird, but I like to stretch in the morning. So like I like to wake up early in the morning and stretch, and then start my day. So
Hey, I love it. The alcohol is also out for me. Shots are out for me in 2025.
yeah,
I was just chatting with another artist and we were giggling that I'm like, I used to be the shot queen in college, and now I can just like smell one from across the bar. And I'm like, get away.
yes, yeah.
But I feel like if we're the same age, like you were around with like the plastic bottles of Burnett's and like the cotton candy pinnacle. So
Oh
like
yeah,
I just think there's a lot of trauma around shots.
yeah, yeah. Me and plastic bottles don't get along anymore. So
I like a
no,
good plastic
I mean,
fluff. Yeah.
plastic cup for sure. I'll play some drinking games, but
I
I'm
love it.
not gonna go. I'll still do it right now. Like I said, I'm working on it, but
You know what? As long as you're working on it, and I'm working on the sugar thing too. I know y'all have Trader Joe's down in Nashville. My
yep,
favorite thing at Trader Joe's that helps my sweet tooth, I don't know if you're a chocolate guy, but
I'm an everything guy.
the chocolate almond butter cups, I have 2 every day, and
Man,
it's perfect. I don't feel like I have to eat a pan of brownies,
yep,
and so I highly recommend. Or I'll just like send a box to your house, and
please, please,
we'll
because
and then we'll like chat again and see how you feel, because
come on,
I feel like I'm cheating, but I'm not like eating like a
yep,
whole cake like the kid in Matilda.
yep. I know they. I don't shop at Trader Joe's too often. My girlfriend, she gets mad at me because I was like, why do we even need to go to Trader Joe's? There's a Kroger right here. There's a
You
Publix
have
right
to go.
here.
Follow your girlfriend's advice.
I will. I
I
will.
am on her side. You need to go. So anyway, enough about Sweet Tooth and Cotton Candy Pinnacle. Talk to me. I'm always so interested. I was introduced to country music at a very young age. My Nana and Papa lived out on a farm. My Papa Max only listened to country music. But growing up in Chicago, my parents only listened to classic rock, the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, a lot of Prince,
Okay. Yeah.
stuff like that. So my first introduction to country music was Dixie Chicks. So I'm always kind of interested to know like what music was playing in your house. I know
Yeah.
kids are susceptible to what mom and dad put on the radio, but kind of talk to me about like those musical memories you had when you were little.
Yeah. So, my first country influence from a young age was Garth Brooks. That was my parents' first concert they went to together as a couple back in 1999,
Wow.
and ever since then they loved Garth, and that's how I found out about him. And then I slowly turned into a Kenny Chesney fan and a Tim McGraw fan. I was more of a Tim McGraw fan back in the day, but now I love them both equally. But my favorite band of all time is Aerosmith. I love Aerosmith. That was my dad's favorite band. I remembered him pick me up from school, driving home, and then "Don't Want to Miss a Thing" would come on. You know what I mean? That's my favorite song of all time. But even before that, like my grandparents, they're heavily into Christian music. I grew up in church. I went there, twice on Sunday, once on Wednesday. And my nana, she was a piano player at the church. So they always listened. They always had like, it was called the Way FM back home. They always had that playing in the kitchen while she was cooking. So I grew up around that growing up. So I was in like the church choir and like I did theater and stuff like that. But like,
Me too. Okay.
we're the same person.
We're the same person. We love chocolate and
Yes.
we sang in church.
Theater. Yeah. But when I heard Aerosmith from out of my dad's speakers, I was like, oh, whatever this is, I want to do that. So like, I started playing guitar when I was seventh grade. I beat Guitar Hero on Expert back when it came out, and I was like, dude, this is easy. I can play real guitar.
A little slow ride. You're like, I
Yes,
got
yeah, a little
this.
smoke on the water.
Yeah.
But so I got my first guitar that Christmas, and I quickly realized it was not easy, and so I took lessons for about 6 months, and then taught myself the rest on YouTube. So I can't. I'm not a shredder by any means, but I can play the chords and write songs and stuff to it. So, but yeah, I kind of deep dove after that. Like I remember my first girlfriend in high school, her older brother, he was heavy into metal, and that was my first time hearing that, and I was like,
Sounds
oh
like my sister.
gosh, I love to this day I love metal music thanks to him, and so like with my music now that I make, I try to incorporate.
Mhm.
I mean, the softness of the Christian stuff with like the synth pads and the stuff to the heaviness of the guitar tones and the drops sometimes. I know I'm not metal by any means, but like I try to incorporate that rock element within the music wherever I can.
You have to. It's so funny now, like who I listen to, some of my favorites. I'm like, oh, I can clearly see my parents' rock slash Fleetwood Mac influence in
Yeah.
who I gravitate towards when I listen to country music. But where are you from originally? I'm looking at your hat and I'm thinking one thing, but am I correct?
Take a guess.
Is it
The hat.
Prospect, Texas?
Oh no, no. Yeah, the hat has
No.
nothing to do with it. So this hat
Okay.
actually, my buddy Weston Wilson, he plays for the Philadelphia Phillies. He started his own clothing company this past off season, and
Oh,
so
cool.
yeah, he sent me some stuff. So I've been rocking the Prosper hat. So shout out to
I'm
Weston for that.
I'm bummed the hat doesn't say tush push.
They should. They
Yeah.
should. They
I
should.
totally buy that hat.
The Phillies should incorporate some type of tush push for the baseball team. But
I know they need to
um,
do something. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Well, I'm a sad Chicago Cubs fan, so you guys enjoy Kyle Schwarber all you want.
yeah. So I grew up a Cardinals fan, so I hated the Cubs because like
Oh,
I'm from
okay.
Kentucky.
Interview over. I'm
So
sorry. No more.
backtrack. I'm from Kentucky.
You
So
are okay.
we don't have a professional team.
No, you
The
have to choose.
closest, yeah, had to choose. The closest one to me was the Cardinals or the Braves, and all of my friends were Braves fans. So I'm like, I'm gonna pick the Cardinals, and I love Albert Pujols. So
Okay, fair.
he was my
It's
person.
fine. I'll get over it.
Yep,
It's
yep. Hey, y'all finally won a World Series. Y'all got there.
You know what? I was down there when they won the World Series, and I still have my World Series hat. That was
I'm sure.
unreal.
Dang,
That was,
yeah.
I think that was the last night I ever was like the queen of shots. I think I decided shortly after they won that that was going to be
Yeah.
no more. But talk to me about when songwriting came in to kind of, this whole process. I feel like there's always kind of like you're bored or there's a catalyst or there's a heartbreak or you're pissed off at your mom or there's
Right.
some reason that you put pen to paper. And I've always been so jealous of that. I giggle because you're talking about, oh, you were in theater and in choir. And I was in both, but I was told by both our theater director and our choir director that I should be helpful in other ways because I can't sing. So that's why now I
I don't
do
believe that.
so don't ask me to sing, but I've always been so jealous of the songwriting portion. I feel like you can sing all you want, but if you have a crappy song, like
Yeah.
nobody's want to listen to it. So chat with me about like when that songwriting process kind of started. And then my favorite question of all time, would you release the song that you first wrote?
Okay. All right. So I told you I learned guitar in seventh grade.
Yeah.
So I learned guitar for the sole reason to play in the church band. So I was the lead singer and the guitar player for that. So I started to do that in front of people, and I'm like, I kind of like this. And then I had a family friend that goes fishing with a very prominent songwriter here in town called his name's Rodney Clausen. And
Oh yeah, no big deal.
you know Rodney, you heard his name before? And
Yeah.
yeah, he's like, yeah, I go fishing with him every year. We have a fishing tournament. And it's so he told him about me and Brad. He has no idea who I am to this day, but he's like, just tell him to write some songs. If he can sing, tell him to write his own stuff. So I started writing songs, and it was senior year of high school at the time, and I liked this girl, and I was like, what perfect time to write a song than right now? And at the time, like Justin Bieber was huge, so like I wrote
Oh,
her a song literally to the exact same chord progression of One Time, and she said, "Yeah." I it was at school. I took her out to the school parking lot, put down the tailgate of the bed, and I played her the song. Typical country, you know.
I love it.
She stood there awkward. She was like, "Yeah, I really love it. Yeah, I'll go out with you." She said, "Yeah." I was like, "Yes."
Yes.
2 weeks later, I found out from my girl best friend that she wanted to break up with me that whole entire day at school. 2 weeks later, so I was like, "All right, I guess the song wasn't too good. I guess it wasn't too good, but it did scratch that itch for me of like, wow, I can actually write a song, tell my feelings." And I've never been good at talking. I usually just let my kind of singing do the talking, and once songwriting came available, it was like, wow, like this is an avenue for me to get my feelings on paper. Because my thoughts get jumbled when I'm talking in person. I stutter sometimes. So what can I say? So I like to put a little melody to it. But so I wrote that senior year, first song. And then freshman year of college, I went to Murray State University in Kentucky.
Oh, nice.
Yep, yep, pretty close to home. And then I have another songwriter. He's not a buddy, but he's a mentor of mine. He's from my hometown. His name's Bryce Long. He's written songs for Randy Houser, John Party, Gary Allen, people like that. And he throws like an annual Christmas benefit concert at our convention center every year to raise money for the kids.
Yeah.
And it's a writer's round. He'll bring his friends, and that's my first time ever seeing it. This year I went, and luckily the person I worked for that summer was a big sponsor of the event. So he kind of told Bryce, like, "Hey, let this dude open for you." So I played that one song. I played for the girl.
Oh, you did.
I did. I did. And then I played Wanted by Hunter Hayes. And then after that, I talked to him for a little bit, and he's like, "Man, you move to Nashville. Move to Nashville." And I was like, "Okay, yeah." I just didn't know how. And then college happened. I graduated. I was in a duo for a little bit, and then we made the move in 2017. And I started doing that then, and we started writing songs together like that. And that's kind of what got me into writing songs. Like, uh, it's I've always had a partner to write songs with, so it's a little bit easier for me to co-write with people than it is for me to like put my own ideas start to finish on paper. I love starting ideas and bringing it into writes because it's not a confidence thing. I just feel like people move to this town for that sole purpose to write songs, and I moved to this town for the sole purpose to sing the songs. And I love songwriting, don't get me wrong, but like I want to be on stage. Like I was in theater, like that's my thing. So like I trust songwriters to help me tell my story in a way that I probably couldn't tell it myself because I have trouble talking as it is. So um,
Love it.
I really enjoy the co-writing process. But yeah, I got into songwriting from a young age from Bryce.
I love
Bryce,
it. Well, you're talking just fine now, so
I'm
I don't
rambling.
know what you're talking about. But let's talk about the record. So good, running my mouth. I think, first of all, we'll talk about the song, but I always, when I look at, first of all, I'm so glad it's just not like a self-titled debut album. I hate those.
I didn't
It
want
tells
to
me
do that. Yeah.
nothing. It tells me, sorry, Thomas Rhett, when that was your first one, but he's
Yeah.
obviously grown
Yeah.
on from that. But it tells me nothing about you. It tells me nothing about your point of view. It doesn't get me excited. It just, I might as well just go to your Instagram and look at your face and like
Right.
I know nothing about you. So talk to me about, did you know that you were writing for a debut album? Did you just kind of have a bunch of songs together and finally you're like, shit, let's just do the damn thing? Kind of talk to me about the timeline and kind of how this all ended up happening.
Yeah. So it's a little bit of both. So I decided to go solo February of last year, 2024, and no, 2023, excuse me, 2023. And I immediately went into the studio because I knew I was writing for my project, but I did take 4 songs from the previous thing and brought it with me. But I knew I was writing, so from that point on, had that in the back of my head. And Running My Mouth, I wrote that 2 months after the split. and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was kind of in this in-between area mentally, um, trying to get back on my feet as an artist and just find my own voice. And my buddy Ben Stoll, I've never met him before in my life. We just had a random two-way write this morning, and he brought in Running My Mouth, and I was like, wow, that's me to a T. Like I don't talk, and so he's like, all right, let's do it. So he's a great lyricist, and I like to take pride in my melodies. So like us two together is like a deadly duo, in my opinion. So that was the first write. It was probably a 2 hour write, and that song came out of it. Yeah. And I sent it to my publisher, and she goes, "What in the world? Like, you have to cut this." I'm like, "Really?" Because you write so many songs throughout a year, like you'll forget about it. You'll forget about it this day, move on to the next day. So when somebody is like, "Hey, you might need to put this out," you're like, "Okay."
You're listening